Have you ever wanted to impress a based e-girl by inserting yourself into her parasocial relationship with Nick Mullen? Or have you ever wanted to learn an accent to be funny or for an acting role or just for fun? What if I told you that science makes it easy and it's from all these squiggle lines you see right here? Not only is this not gibberish, it's actually English, and this reads as this sentence that I'm saying right now. But before we can get into that, we have to know. When we think of accents, we mainly think of how parts of words are pronounced differently. That's where a bunch of the accent hacks come from. Italians talk like this. Indians replace T's with D's, the infamous Lululemon incident for Japan. But affecting a convincing accent isn't just pronunciation, there's also cadence. Cadence includes the rhythm, stress, and overall sound of your voice when you're speaking in a different way. If you're trying to do an Irish accent, you'll speak in a different part of your mouth with a different tone and speed than if you were to do, say, a Somali accent. Mastering cadence can get you most of the way to an effective accent for comedy value, but if you really want to be convincing, say for an acting role, you have to work on your phonetics. If you had a good English teacher, you probably already know about phonetics. If you had a bad English teacher and learned whole word reading, I have bad news for you. Regardless, phonetics is the way linguists have recorded and classified all the different sounds humans make, especially those we use for language. They use as many recognizable characters as possible, but they had to invent some of their own in order to get down every sound there really is. This classification is so robust that those gray boxes represent sounds it is literally impossible to make. Like, this box means it's impossible to put your tongue to the roof of your mouth while rolling the sound. So something like a rolling K is strictly unutterable, unless you have some sort of mouth mutation. It's quite intimidating. There are a lot of charts, but luckily there are a bunch of websites where you can just click on the symbol and hear the sound.
Fuck off.
When you combine the phonetic symbols into words, you don't just get the word itself, but you get the way you actually say it, the literal sound of the word. At this point, can you guess what this word is? The apostrophe next to the G means that the stress is placed on the first syllable, and the G is just G. Next, we have the Cyrillic I, which is from the Russian alphabet, and that translates to the sound I. The B is ba, the flip D is the R is just R, or maybe Ra, to be specific. Then another I, and finally the esh symbol, which represents a voiceless sh sound. Put this all together, you get gibberish. This book I really like uses this to the max, creating exact instructions on how to affect the most commonly mimicked accents. If you were actually fluent in phonetics, you could just read this bottom line aloud and you'd be speaking like an Irishman. In a simpler example of an Irish accent, instead of using the U sound for in cup or done or rub, you use the of foot. It sounds like cup. Instead of rub, it's rub. Instead of done, it's dun. But you can't just mentally transpose sounds out for every word you say. It has to be automatic in your brain. With the book, there's instructional CDs, but you can actually listen to real speakers on YouTube and it'll rub off in the same way. But really, the name of the game is As you stare at this gibberish, it slowly comes to life. It's just like learning any language. After probably 6 or so hours of practice, I was able to nail one of the included monologues for the New York accent. There's a great resource I'll link in the description from the author of the book with a bunch of monologues from real speakers. Some of these are translated into full phonetics, and they are all available for free. Even after this practice, it's much harder to actually speak in the accent than it is to just read it. Having to think of what to say while maneuvering the accent still jams me up. But I suppose it'll just come from use. And the easiest way to put your time in is to Congratulations! You've unlocked the key to having a six-pack and acting like a dickhead at any polite gathering you've been invited to. Look in the description to find the links to help you get started. And if you liked this video,